This is Robert with Armadillo Outdoor Adventures. Recently I made a video on repainting green wing teal decoys. And the whole time I was doing that, I was thinking about how much I'd like to have a handful of nice blue wing teal decoys. So after that, I sat down, I come up with a system on how to take these old teal decoys and turn a few of them into blue wing teal. After I did that, I made a little video on it. So why don't y'all join me, take a look. Hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all, this is Robert on the Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate every single view that I get. It means so much to me. With that being said, I'd like to go ahead and get started. Here's a list of supplies and materials that we're going to need. We need some cheap paper plates. The 99-cent pack from the dollar store is what I use. A Sharpie, some latex gloves. We need a hammer, a block of wood, a pair of scissors. We also need a small Phillips head screwdriver, and I've made this little stand that you'll see that I use on all of my decoys. I use this stand whenever I paint a fish replica in my taxidermy shop. After that, of course, we're going to need spray paint. I've got 7 colors. I'll put a list up after I give you the colors so you can pause it and write them down if you need to. I use flat black. I use a tan color, a brown color, flat white. I use hunter green, and I use an ocean blue color, and then I top it all off with a clear coat. I use a clear coat with a satin finish to keep from giving a shine off the decoy. Now the colors may vary according to the manufacturer, so don't rely on the names that I give you to be the same color as what you might pick up in your store. Before we get too deep into this, I'd like to give you a few things to keep in mind before we do. The whole time I'm doing this, I'm lightly dusting my decoys. I lightly dust with several coats. I'm spraying from 8 to 10 inches off, and I'm not spraying a real heavy coat on any of it. For the details, I do move in a little bit closer so I don't get a lot of overspray. One thing I do want to bring to your attention: the blue, the blue, the blue. Be very careful with the blue. Just remember, if we mess it up, there's nothing done here that we can't fix. If we have to, worst comes to worst, we start all over, paint with black again, start from the beginning. Every time I start a new decoy system, a new paint system for a decoy setup, usually the video that I take is on the 4th or 5th one, because by the time I've done the 4th one, I've kind of got it down. So keep that in mind. You're not going to make it look perfect the first time. You're probably going to have to go back and redo it. The last thing that I want to bring to your attention is reference photos. Google's a good place to do this. We want our decoy to look like the real thing, not to look like someone else's vision of what a decoy looks like. Alright, that's enough of that. Let's get down to painting decoys. Alright, as you can see here, I always start with black. Black covers up all of the old paint, and it brings out the detail in the feathers and in the moldings of the feathers that you have underneath the black. Then I go to the tan color. I spray all the way around the bottom quarter of the decoy with the tan. I go on up the breast and around the neck, just like you've seen in the clip. The next color I use is the brown. I spray the top of the back where the feathers would come together on the top of this back for the wings. Right. The last part of this, I go back to the black. I dust over the brown ever so lightly, right where the wings come together on the back. This deepens and darkens that brown. Just remember, ever so lightly, just enough to darken that brown cover, just like the back of a blue-winged teal. We will be going back to the black pretty regular throughout this whole painting system of the blue-winged teal. First color that I paint in the detail portion of this is the blue patch on the wings. The reason that I do this is because if you look at the pictures of a blue-winged teal, that blue is tucked up under a lot of the other feathers, and it just kind of shows through. So by the time I'm done painting the other parts of the detail portion, that's what it looks like, is the blue is kind of tucked up under all the other colors. I want to caution you, be very careful with this blue. You can see how I used the template and just paint the little blue spot on the wing. From here on our detail portion of this little video, we put the detail in the tan, or the bottom quarter of the decoy. We use the brown to make this stand out. My templates, I've got the little chevrons that I cut, and this is the part where I took the block of wood, the hammer, and the screwdriver, where I punched the little screwdriver through to make dots, rows of dots. That's right on the breast of this thing with the almond color or the brown color. The rest of it, you take your chevrons down the sides of him You want to get in close so you don't get a lot of overspray of the brown on top of the tan. We do the same thing on the back, but just the opposite. We're painting the tan color on top of the brown. I usually use my chevrons. Some of the spots you can use your little dots. Next, you can see where I took a template and I cut slits in the template. This is where you get the detail on the longer feathers, or which would be the primary feathers of the wing. On the blue wing teal, they've got the long stretches of the tan color where their wing feathers come together. You can see what I'm talking about and how I use these templates. Just see for yourself. The next portion of the detail is the green. It's the same little spot of green that we used on the green wing teal, and then we tip that off with the white. The blue wing teals also have a white portion right on their butt section. You can see where I go through and I take my template and I make this little white spot on each side. Once I've got the body of the duck with all of the detail the way I like it, then I move to the head. I do the head of this duck as a separate section altogether. I start out by taking my templates just like you see in the clips. And I paint the head black. Once I've got the head black, I go and I put the crest right at the front of the head, just in front of the eye on the decoys. It's a white crest right at the front of this head. The next thing you want to do, you got to be very careful and dust the head and the top of the body with the blue. Ever so lightly, because you'll end up really making a mess of this and having to start over again. Just step way back, 12, 24 inches even, and just lightly dust. I would stay from 24 inches and work your way in until you get it where you want it. And just make long sweeping passes and dust this duck on the whole top from front to back and back to front just a few times just to give it a blue hint. I put a little bit more blue in the head just so when the light hits it just right, that blue kind of shines into the black. Paint that I want to use is the clear with the satin finish. The satin finish means that when it dries it doesn't have a shiny finish. I shoot several colors. I start from the bottom to the top and then I make sure I shoot the head really good. This does a few things. It blends all of the colors together and it makes the details stand out from underneath this. This also seals and protects this decoy when it's in the bag bouncing around against all of the other decoys. I want to thank you for stopping by. It means a great deal to me to know that you spent your valuable time watching what I'm doing here. I'd like to take this opportunity to ask you to click the subscribe button down below. I'd also love to hear from you, so comment. Tell us what you think of our videos and what kind of decoy you'd like to see next. And until next time, I'll see you on the water. Thanks for stopping by. All criticism is welcome. Please remember that there are ladies and children watching, so keep it clean. Please remember to shake the hand of a veteran, a police officer, or an emergency worker if you get the chance. Thanks again. I'll see you on the water.